All rise, please.
Good morning. Please join me in O Canada, followed by a moment of quiet contemplation. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, I'll look for a roll call. Clerk McGill.
Thank you, Warden, and good morning, Council. We have all members of Council in attendance, with one exception. Councillor Cabral is absent, with alternate Councillor Anita Moore in attendance, and you have your quorum. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you. And now I'll look for the approval of the agenda. Councillor Dolan, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Anderson that the agenda for January 27th, 2026 meeting of County Council be approved.
Any questions arising from the agenda? And I'll try and remember to look online as well. Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council? Not seeing any. If you find yourself in that situation later, please declare it at that time. Presentations and delegations, we have none, but we do have our consent agenda. Councillor Burkett, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Worship. Through you, moved by myself, second by Councillor Norcross. The Council Communications and Proclamations, January 13, 2026 to January 26, 2026, have been given due consideration, be received.
Thank you. Just on the attendance, I know the last two items that were on that on the Friday, even though we've got them in the chart because the agenda was out, were canceled due to the weather. So the tiny announcement I think is happening this Friday, and I'm not sure when Waypoint is going to do theirs, but the rest did continue. And thank you, Councillor Fryer, for representing me over in Collingwood. Kind of a stormy day Friday. I didn't want to quite drive that far, so thank you. Any questions arising from the proclamations? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Deputy Warden, I see you online there.
Thank you. Good morning. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that the following council minutes be confirmed and adopted and the Committee of the Whole reports be confirmed. County Council minutes, January 13th, 2026, Committee of the Whole report, January 13th, 2026, and Committee of the Whole confidential report, January 13th, 2026.
Thank you. Any questions or comments arising from the minutes? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Presentations and considerations of the Committee of the Whole report. Chair Evans, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good morning, Council. Motion is that the performance management recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated January 13th, 2026 be approved, including the confidential item moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Norcross, who's here in person today. So good to see you, sir. Thank you, sir. Back to you, Warden.
On the performance management, any items to be pulled for a separate vote? Not seeing any hands, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And now Chair Measures, Human Services, please.
Good morning, Your Worship. Nice to see everyone today. This is the Committee of the Whole report for Human Services, January 13th. That Human Services recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated January 13, 2026 be approved, including the confidential item. The item will be moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brian Smith, who's online.
Thank you. Any items from Human Services to be pulled for discussion? Not seeing any, so all in favor of the motion? That is carried. Thank you. And now Chair Dolan for corporate, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miskimings that the corporate services recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated January 13th, 2026 be approved, including the confidential items.
Thank you. Any items to be pulled from corporate services? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried as well. Presentations and consideration of special committee reports, we have none. County officers report, none, and no motions of which notice has been given and no notice is a motion. A closed session, no, so we'll look for the consideration of the bylaws. Councillor Norcross.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Burkett, that bylaw number 7161-26 be enacted as a bylaw of the County of Simcoe.
All in favor of the bylaw? That is carried. Thank you. So we're on to announcements. Any announcements, members of council? Not a lot going on when it's this cold out in Canada, is there? Not seeing any. So with that, I'll look for the confirmatory bylaw. Councillor Norcross.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Chair Evans, that bylaw number 7162-26 be enacted as a bylaw of the County of Simcoe. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. And now I'll look for the adjournment that the January 27, 2026 meeting of the County Council be adjourned at 9:07 a.m. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Laux. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll get set up for Committee of the Whole. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. The city reps are with us now, so I'll look for the, I guess I better get roll call first. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Warden. So in addition to the members of council in attendance, we're joined by the city representatives, Aurelia Councillor Durnford, Aurelia Councillor Fallis, and Aurelia Mayor McIsaac. We're also joined by Barrie Councillor Nagusi and Barrie Councillor Rietma. Barrie Mayor Nuttall is currently absent. Thank you, Warden. You have your quorum.
Thank you. So I'll look for the approval of the agenda. Councillor Dolan, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Fryer that the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting of a Committee of the Whole be approved. No, I said, yeah, sorry.
Okay, do any questions on the agenda? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council? I'm not seeing any. If you find yourself in that situation later, please declare it at that time. Deputations and delegations, all section. And yes, we have one. We have a former councillor. Welcome back. Donna Jebb is here to provide a presentation on behalf of the Simcoe Area Women's Institute. Great to see you again, Donna.
It's a stormy day, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking coming. Good morning, Warden Clark, members of council, staff, and everyone present in the gallery. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you a significant chapter of Simcoe County's heritage. As the Simcoe Area Women's Institute celebrates a century of dedicated community service, I would like to highlight some of our key accomplishments. While it's not a simple task to sum up 100 years in a brief presentation, I will do my best to provide a meaningful overview of our history and the impact we have made. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the Women's Institute, the WI, the first branch was founded in Stony Creek, Ontario, in 1897. With February 19th approaching, the anniversary, we are preparing to commemorate 129 years of the WI. To mark this milestone, our organization will be supporting local first responders by assembling packages that include a book, teddy bear, and a blanket. These packages are intended for children in crisis when first responders arrive on the scene. Emily Murphy, one of Canada's famous five, was instrumental in advancing women's rights. As the first woman magistrate, she was born in Tecumseh Township, and Cookstown honors her legacy with a cairn outside the post office, as that was her mailing address, Councillor Lynn. In 2009, the Senate recognized Emily Murphy and the other famous five as Canada's first honorary senators. Furthermore, Emily Murphy served as the inaugural president of the Federated Women's Institutes of Canada. The movement also owes a great deal to Madge Robertson Watt, of a Collingwood native. After her husband's passing, she relocated with her sons to England prior to World War I, where she introduced the Canadian WI model. With the support of Lady Aberdeen and the government backing, Madge rallied the women in England to help raise the country's food production from 35% to 60% of its requirements during World War I, earning her the title of MBE, Member of the British Empire. Following the war, Madge collaborated internationally to form the Associated Country Women of the World, ACWW. Serving as its first president, the ACWW remains active as a non-governmental organization in the United Nations. Both Emily and Madge have been designated persons of national significance by the Canadian government. Inspired by leaders like Emily and Madge, the Simcoe Area Women's Institute has consistently upheld its motto for home and country. The Institute began its journey by founding a museum to safeguard the county's history, a responsibility later passed to the county for ongoing stewardship. Additionally, the Simcoe County Archives, organized as a Women's Institute initiative, leveraging the Tweedsmuir history books to preserve documents, articles, and the record of local history. These histories have proven invaluable for municipal planning, including streetscape studies and recent research tied to former Highway 93, County Road 93. Thanks to a Trillium grant and many, many hours of volunteer work, the Tweedsmuir history books played a vital role in understanding the importance of County Road 93 and renaming it, and the importance during the War of 1812. The Alliston Women's Institute constructed a library to honor those who gave their lives in World War I. Across Simcoe area, branches have followed the example of these visionary leaders, making meaningful contributions to their communities and building upon past achievements. Many branches have already celebrated their own centennial anniversaries and more. The movement in Simcoe area began with the leadership of women such as Mrs. Agnes Stocking from Wapasheen and Mrs. Kate Aiken of Beaton. Recognizing the need for a unified area, the Tweedsmuir history books recorded the establishment of the first annual convention, which impressively spanned 2 days with approximately 400 women in attendance, a remarkable commitment, especially considering the busy lives of women then and now. The Federated Women's Institutes of Ontario, the FWIO, states its vision as follows. We envision Ontario, where women work together for safe, healthy families, communities, and pursue an enriched and balanced lifestyle. Women in the Simcoe area have truly embraced the vision, demonstrating through their ongoing efforts, which include organizing educational workshops, inviting guest speakers, advocating, preparing displays for fairs, leading 4-H programs, creating and donating quilts and crafts, teaching proper food preparation, sharing recipes, and serving our community dinners, enjoying lasting friendships and meeting new people. I'll just show you some more photos. There's different branches donating to our first responders, and we hope February 19th, we're able to do the same. The picture in this picture, the picture of the picture, the Alliston Women's Institute was given this picture by Dr. Frederick Banting when the Alliston Museum or the Alliston Library was opened. And when it disbanded, it became the property of the WI, and it had damage done to it. And at the same time, the Banting Homestead was opening. So we paid to have the picture refurbished, and we've donated it back to the Banting Homestead. Plus, we supported the bus at Simcoe Manor. We try to keep everyone informed of what's going on in our community by doing tours. We also provide scholarships as well. And our branch last year raised almost $10,000 towards community projects and other organizations vital in our community. This is something that our branch has taken on now for a few years. And the first time we had the picture, we even got a honk when we were posing by the fence. Councillor Norcross, he was driving by when we were taking the photo. We gathered the bras. We gathered up the bras, we weigh them, and we make a cash donation equivalent to the weight. This year, we've donated $400 to Stevenson Memorial and to South Lake towards the mammogram department and the Women's Wellness Center. And the bras then go to our local community contact clothesline store. The Federated Women's Institutes of Ontario state its vision as follows. Oh, I already read that. What am I doing? Today, I am here to reaffirm that the Simcoe Area Women's Institute remain active, advocating and contributing to our communities. We already have planned a few events for this coming year, and we respectfully ask County Council to support for your support as we seek to collaborate with the Simcoe County Museum to create a lasting tribute that honors and celebrates both our past and our future in Simcoe County. By working together, we hope to develop something that represents the enduring legacy and ongoing work of the Simcoe Area Women's Institute, past, present, and future. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you, Donna. Any questions and comments? Councillor Leduc.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, Donna, for being here today. And it's interesting, I was speaking with my comms team yesterday about what can we do to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the foundation of the Women's Institute. So I would ask you straightforward, have you looked at a proclamation that we could endorse on February 19th? And would you have a flag also that we could do maybe a flag raising? I want to ask the warden, I know myself this year with council support, hopefully we're going to donate part of our proceeds from our golf tournament to the Women's Institute in Bonhead and Tech Week Will, so that we can help support, because you do such great work throughout the county. So I was hoping the warden could allocate some of his funds to that throughout Simcoe County to celebrate all the Women's Institutes of the 100th anniversary and donate some funds, because that goes right back into our communities. So it's wonderful. I'm going to commit to $10,000 if council supports that we can give to your organizations.
Well, we're working on a proclamation for you. We do have a flag, and I think you're going to be getting an email from the Bond Head WI to recognize February 19th. Tech Week Will didn't get their meeting yesterday because of the snow pile up. We just thought we'd stay at home and shovel our own snow. So yes, you will be getting a proclamation, and they're hoping to do a flag raising February 19th in Bradford. So you will be getting information. Thank you. And yes, and monetary support would be lovely.
We will certainly look into that, and certainly the flag raising as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other comments? Councillor Dolan.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Donna. It was really good. I just wanted to point out that the Emily Murphy Janie Canuck Monument at the Canada Post, at the Cookstown Canada Post Office, the postmaster advised me the other day that she's a little concerned about the base, that it's cracking a bit. I think it was put there in the 70s and needs some TLC. So I'll be looking for some advice on how to go about that, who installed it. I don't remember that, but I think it had something to do with the Simcoe County Historical Committee.
Maybe it was WI didn't. They may have helped with the information, but I remember being at work and the lieutenant governor came that day and shut down the streets. So I'm not sure if it was the county or if it was the province, because the lieutenant governor did come that day. So we can ask.
Okay, thank you. And I just also want to recognize Joan McLean. Joan is a former longtime resident of Cookstown and part of the Cookstown WI, and kept the Lady Tweedsmuir books. And we still have them. They've all been digitized and they're part of our library collection now.
We have a great collection at the archives as well. So, and the Simcoe area WI book is there as well. And Joan was excellent at record keeping. And she carried the WI in Cookstown through to the 100th anniversary. And we actually had the world president in attendance that day, the Ontario president and the area president that day at the celebration.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
Do I have any other comments or questions? Yes, I saw a hand somewhere. Oh, online. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Councillor McDonald, go ahead.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you very much, Donna, for your presentation. And I just want to say thank you to you, because I know that you're very heavily involved with the Women's Institute, and we hear all about it mainly through you, actually, in this area. So I just want to say that we're very proud of the work that you do and all of the Women's Institute, and we're so proud to hear that they're just as strong and in the community and continue to be that force. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? I'll look online. I'm not seeing any other hands. And Don, I believe you have my phone number. So
Right,
of course,
I do. I'll speed dial you. Thank you, Councillor.
Perfect. Thank you. So we'll move on now with performance management. Chair Evans, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Warden. Transition. I know the Women's Institute are users of our local and just recently upgraded our Simcoe County archives. So Matthew Fells, our county archivist, is here today to present the archives report for Q4 of 2025. Are there any comments or questions on this item? No. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Smith and Councillor Bell, thank you very much. Seconded. The motion is that item CCW 2026-040 dated January 27th, 2026 regarding Simcoe County Archives operations in Q4 of 2025 be received. All those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you, Warden. I will pass it back to you.
Thank you. Chair Managers, if you would do Human Services, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Worship. In the Human Services section, which is item number 6, we're going to start with our consent items. There are 3 items that perhaps General Manager Sinclair could speak to. I'll read them out, and then perhaps Jane, if you'd like to speak to any of the items that are in the motion. CCW 2026-014 is the Paramedic Services Medical Priority Dispatch System Update. And then item 031 is the County of Simcoe Paramedics Services Medical Aid Tiered Response Update. And then item 042 is the passing of Bill 25 Emergency Management Modernization Act. I'd like to pass over to Ms. Sinclair if she has anything she'd like to add to these items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I will just draw your attention quickly to the first two items. We have now had the new ambulance dispatch software program in place just over a year. So we've been able to collect data and analyze data during the first year from November to November. And we're very pleased to see the results of this new system. The intent by the province with this more sophisticated dispatch system is to get paramedics to calls more quickly, urgent, life-threatening calls. And we're seeing exactly that. As you can see from the report, we've seen a 38% reduction in the over-dispatching components, so more accurate dispatching. And when we drilled into the most urgent, life-threatening calls, we actually have seen a 21% improvement in our response time. So we're very pleased. We're continuing to monitor the following report on our medical aid tiered response. Similar results. We're seeing a range between 38 and 43% reduction in that over dispatch, so reduction in those calls because it's a more accurate system. And we're seeing some improvements in terms of response time to the most urgent types of calls, such as sudden cardiac arrest calls. So you can see from the two reports, we're very pleased. We will continue to monitor and provide updates to County Council as we move forward. And the emergency management bill 25 has just been passed. We have more information coming. So this is really a high-level overview, but we'll again keep County Council updated as we learn more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Manager. I see that we have our Director and Chief Mills here. I'll give the opportunity for the Chief if she has anything she wants to add to these reports as well. And congratulations on the great results on the dispatch update system. Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. I would just, echo what General Manager St. Clair has said. We are just happy to see these results to provide better, quicker, more urgent service to the communities in which we serve. And we also are very happy to say that even the lower prioritized lower acuity calls, they're not seeing a great wait time either. So we're really happy that this system has helped us provide better service across the whole county.
Thank you very much, Chief. I'll look to the floor. Are there any questions to, yes, go to Mr. Sandhu. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I want to begin by saying thank you to the whole team. Having a family member in paramedic services, I understand how hard this job is and how valuable this job is. I want to say thank you to each and every member. This is a good report. It shows that it's giving us a positive result. I do have a couple of questions and a suggestion. In the overtime breakdown and the missed breaks, if in future we can also have a dollar figure what the saving is. It says 21%, I think, saved on overtime, but what does that mean in dollar value to council? The two questions I have is, have we ever been any documented cases where MPDS misclassified a call that later became a life-threatening? That's one question. And the other one is there an audit process in place to ensure that under triage is not happening? And then I have another question I'll ask afterwards.
General Manager or Mills? Go ahead, General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair. To your question about the changing status of calls, that does happen. It happened in the previous program, the DPCI-2. It will happen periodically in the MPDS as well. The dispatcher garners information from the caller, and sometimes as the details come in, the more and more details that are coming in, the status may change. I will look to our Director-in-Chief to elaborate, but with MPDS, because it is a more sophisticated, they ask more questions, that the level of accuracy is much better. However, having said that, depending on the information received by the caller, the status can change during the call.
So I'm pleased to hear that it is being recognized, and I'm sure that when we look at it and if needed, the questions are changed or improved in a way that the caller, when they call in, the dispatcher, whoever's taking the call, is asking very detailed questions that doesn't happen. But I recognize that it would happen time to time based on the information given in. The other question I have is the maximum wait time currently experienced with green and yellow calls. Do we track that, and how does that fare compared to the other data? And do we have a breakdown of by municipality in Simcoe County, how that wait time is for green and yellow?
Through you, Mr. Chair. We do monitor the wait times for all calls. And so the less acuity calls, the lower acuity calls, yellow, orange, and green, they have wait times 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. We are within those parameters on average, but we do monitor them very carefully. So I will look to our Director in Chief to elaborate on the processes around those. Thank you.
Chief Mills?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do track those, the yellow, orange, and greens quite closely because we do want to make sure that people aren't waiting significant periods of time, and we are meeting our thresholds. Those thresholds are set out provincially. So we work with our data collection teams, and we work with within our own team, and we really monitor them closely. They're as important, I mean, they're as important to us overall for the county or for the communities to make sure all of these calls are serviced in the appropriate timelines so that people aren't waiting long times for ambulances.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the second part of that question, we have collated the data on a regional basis because that's the metrics that we are measured by, the province, et cetera. We can delve in on a municipal basis just to analyze to ensure there isn't any outliers or there isn't anything happening in particular in one municipality over the other. So we are able to collect the data and measure that in that method as well. However, for the purpose of this report, we've pulled together the data on a regional basis, but we do monitor across on a by municipality basis too.
Okay, thank you, and very good job. Thanks.
I agree. Very good job. I'd like to go to online to Councillor Laux, and then I see Councillor Leduc is available. So go ahead, Mr. Laux.
Good morning, and thank you. Through the chair, question towards either Chief Mills or GM Sinclair. I've had some residents' concerns about the fact, whether you can elaborate on this, that once ambulances, say, get called out, and this is reflect the area of Agtos, when ambulances get called out and they go to RVH, they do what they have to do, and upon leaving RVH, they get called out again and again and again. And it seems like ambulances don't make it back into their area. And specifically, I am targeting Agtos, where we're in the southern section there, that the wait times are longer in our area because ambulances just get caught in this loop around RVH and they don't make it back to where their home base is. So I'm wondering if somebody could elaborate on that, please.
GM Sinclair, do you want to take that or? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your description, Councillor, is accurate in that ambulance services across the province are dispatched according to a seamless principle. So there are no municipal boundaries. The closest ambulance or resources are deployed to calls, especially when they're most urgent, life-threatening calls. So we do see that larger populated areas that have more calls tend to draw our resources in more frequently. And other types of municipalities that have larger geographies, for example, but smaller populations, the resources are actually drawn by our ambulance dispatch to where the calls are happening. So that may in fact be happening where ambulances returning to a particular municipality may be drawn back into calls because they happen to be the closest resource. It's called the seamless principle, and that's how they operate. And in fact, sometimes we have ambulances from other jurisdictions who are returning from Muskoka or another region or county adjacent to the county of Simcoe. And because they are the closest ambulance, they may in fact be called in to respond. So it does absolutely occur. It's part of the dispatch program because they're truly trying to get the closest resource to those really critical calls. So we do look at that though as part of our overall deployment plan. We look at the resources in each municipality and we, try to place stations and resources in the best position to provide coverage. But to your point, if there's an urgent call and an ambulance is returning to its home municipality, it may in fact be pulled back to respond to another call.
Supplemental?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. Is there any chance that there's any sort of a study that oversees the numbers that are happening for these kind of scenarios at all?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I know part of our overall deployment plan is monitored very carefully. We know the province is actually looking at making a distinction between rural and urban populations, knowing that there are different challenges in terms of resources and the number of calls, et cetera. So we understand the province is looking at this more carefully in terms of rural versus urban and what response time metrics should be. So there is some study at a provincial level, but I would look to our Director-in-Chief to add any additional comments.
Chief Mills and your command staff, go right ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So going back to the first part of the question, so absolutely supporting what General Manager Sinclair is saying. We do also, through our deployment, we make sure that there is coverage in the closest area. So if Toss is left open because they've transported to RVH, we do ensure that there's coverage coming from the next closest station. So we do have, it's a mobile, like a rapid deployment, and those resources get put into pockets so that we can ensure that as our resources deplete, that there is accurate and adequate coverage across the entire county. And we have seen that MPDS has actually improved on this happening, because if we look at how it was dispatched before and everything was a code 4, they would be grabbed for this high percentage of calls. But now as it trickles out, these urgent calls, reds and purples, they're being grabbed for, but the lower acuity calls that used to be bundled into the code 4s, they're not responding to those anymore. So there is actually more freedom and quote unquote coverage for them to get back to their home base and their home resource. So we are actually seeing a decrease in this happening as MPDS is fine-tuning itself.
Thank you very much. I just want to add also that in my community of Clearview and Stayner, I have seen Grey County paramedics show up for calls. So thank you very much for our neighbors to be there. Moving on, Councillor Leduc is next, and then Ms. Stoll. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And great report. It's got great numbers in here and it shows the improvements. And I did support this this one when the county was looking to move to this program. And it's working. It is working. Don't get me wrong. But I love the question from Councillor Sandu and the question from Councillor Locke. It is difficult when you're further away from a hospital to get your ambulances back into your community as other calls come in. They dispatch all over, and we see that. We see York Region ambulances, we see Grey County, every other ambulances coming into our area. So it is a system that works throughout the area. My question would be, do we tell the person on the other phone what code they're in, as if it's purple, red, orange, green? Do we tell them what area they're in, so they're aware of the potential that it's not an emergency call and they will be dispatched accordingly? So I just wondered if we let them know that, if that's something that.
Good question, Jane.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll just to provide a summary answer, and I'll look to our Director-in-Chief to elaborate. I know if a call is dispatched and it's a lower acuity, so green, let's say a level green, there is a requirement for the dispatch to advise them, and they are to check in on them regularly during the wait period. But in terms of the details that are provided, I'll look to our Director-in-Chief to elaborate.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So absolutely what General Manager Sinclair is saying is what happens is when they're on the phone, when someone calls in to 911, they don't get told what color they are. I think that would be too confusing for them. But what they get told is there will be a delay. And then they say, if anything changes, call us back. And then they call regularly. The dispatcher calls regularly to ensure that the patient condition hasn't changed. So if they were to call back and find out that the condition has changed, they would internally up the priority and send that ambulance faster. So this is really important for the public to understand that the information that they give the dispatchers, the accuracy of that will absolutely help get the resources there more appropriately and in the time required. So that's something that, we're going to take away and work on with our communications department of making sure that we understand that or communicating to the public that what they give us is how quickly or how accurately the ambulance is dispatched.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up, if you don't mind. How do we record when we enter the green area, how do we record the time arrival of the ambulances? Do we record that from the first call, or do we record the time of arrival when the ambulance is dispatched?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are a number of metrics that start right from when the call is received through 911, then it's downloaded to or downstream to, in this case, paramedic services. So there are timestamps all the way through. We typically measure the time from when our paramedic crew receives the call from ambulance dispatch to when they arrive at the patient's side. But I'll look to, again, Director-in-Chief to confirm.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. All times are captured in the dispatch. So when you call, it's time-stamped. When the crew is notified, it's time-stamped. And then when they are mobile, it's time-stamped. When they, when they arrive scene, it's time-stamped. So every single piece along the way it's time-stamped for. So there might be a delay between when the call comes in. So that's where we're seeing the crew notified is the call comes in, it's time-stamped. And if it falls into a lower priority, the crew won't be notified. So it could come in at, let's just say 1 o'clock. And the crew won't be notified until 1:45 because of the way the system is working. But then when the crew is notified, that's when we start to measure. Crew notification to crew arrival, that's what we measure. We always look at the notification time between our dispatch center and the crew, like how long it's held. That's their metric that we kind of oversee, like keep an eye on. But ours is our big one is the notified to time of arrival.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Leduc. Councillor Dolan and then Councillor Smith online.
Thank you very much for the report. I'm interested in knowing, and maybe this isn't a fair question for you, but how it's impacted the relationship between the local fire and emergency services. I think under the older system, there seemed to be some duplication. You'd see a fire truck and an ambulance arrive at all the calls, and I wonder, has this system changed that at all?
Jane?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'll begin with an answer and I'll look to our Director-in-Chief. I can tell you overall, the relationship between fire and paramedic services in the County of Simcoe has improved dramatically. Part of that is equating to our quality of care program. We have many of our partner fire services involved in our quality care. And so we have the same training and education on those skills that fire are actually responding to. And since that has been in place approximately 5 years, I believe now, we've seen a dramatic improvement in communication, ongoing communication, and that working relationship. So we've seen some really positive relationships develop. In terms of the MPDS, again, I'll look to our Director-in-Chief to comment. There are fewer calls, and I know our base hospital physician is working very closely with fire representatives and our paramedic leadership to understand the various types of calls and look at solutions when there are wait times for fire services. But I'll look to Director-in-Chief Mills.
Chief Mills?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So when it comes to the relationship between fire and paramedic services in the county, there's a couple of things that are happening. So we have our QCP program that has really, really improved the relationship and the working relationship between our services all throughout the county. We also have on the preface of MPDS coming in, with our base hospital physician and our leadership team, we actually started meeting with the fire chiefs to kind of prepare them for this so that it wasn't a surprise to them on scene. And we actually have a very good working relationship with the fire chief group within the county. So we did a lot of work on the front end to give them insight and to give them some understanding, but also give them some say in it. So we're actually finding now that the fire departments are, from our lens, their feedback has been that they are now going to the calls that they're the most impactful on, and they're not going to the calls that they felt like they weren't impactful on. So we've actually seen that on a like a frontline level, as well as from a leadership level, improve the relationship and improve the communication between the two services. And it's something that we value with our fire chiefs. We value that close working relationship.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to Councillor Smith and Brian Smith, and then Councillor Snell after that. Brian?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. And, I must say, back in 24, when the MPDS finally got rolled out, I had some concerns because we went from codes to coloring. And my concerns were, is that going to create any issues? But what I can tell you in speaking with paramedics and speaking with our fire chief and our firefighters, is that this has actually been the opposite. This has been quite seamless, and it has been a massive improvement. I can tell you that our fire department is now responding to many less calls than they used to have to respond to on a regular basis. And our ambulance times, as we're seeing here through the report, are increasing greatly. So congratulations, Chief Mills, to you and your team and each and every paramedic out there on the street, because this is essential to life-saving in our communities. I just want to add to Councillor Locke's comment in that, ambulances are being withdrawn from our communities. I have heard this for years. I still hear this from different families at different times when they've had to access emergency services. And what I've heard on probably 4 or 5 times is that, yeah, they were surprised when a Grey County ambulance showed up or a Peel Region ambulance showed up at their door. And my answer to that is always, well, so the system's working. But the fact that smaller municipalities are seeing longer response times, not always, but on some occasions, because of this system and the ambulances being drawn to busier areas. I'll just use Barrie as an example here. Could be Bradford, West Gwillimbury. That's the only concern that I still have. And how do we look at ensuring that coverage is there for these acute calls, the purples and the reds, if you will? I know that we're doing it. We're doing better each and every day. I cannot praise our paramedic services enough. But when it's a purple and red call, seconds and minutes matter. And if you live in a rural community where you're seeing longer wait times, and a lot of the time that's because the ambulances aren't getting back to their station, and the system, which is sending an ambulance maybe from Wasaga Beach to the town line of Collingwood or vice versa to make sure that coverage is there, it's still critical time. So I just like to see or understand how we're looking to improve upon that. And I know the rapid response units help with that, so on and so forth. But these are critical times. Thank you so much.
Director? No, send that right to
Through you, Mr. Chair. Just to quickly respond, Chief Mills mentioned it. When vehicles or resources are pulled to the nearest call, it's a dynamic deployment plan. And so dispatch is automatically moving vehicles behind the scenes. It's actually quite amazing how many vehicles are being repositioned on standby and moved into various areas. So every time a vehicle is responding, the dispatcher is looking at the larger picture and conveying to other crews to move into position. So the dynamic nature of the deployment plan actually helps to fill in where resources are being pulled. And that's an ongoing 24/7 basis. However, we do also have a number of mitigation strategies to help in some of the more rural, less densely populated areas, such as we have the incident response units. We have hybrid response units that are paramedics that also have community paramedicine that can be placed in some of those more rural, less populated areas with fewer calls so that they can be available. So there are a number of strategies that our team continuously works on to try and place resources in areas to mitigate for other populated areas where there's larger call volumes. So it is part of our deployment plan and is something that we're constantly striving to ensure we're filling resources in areas across on a regional basis, not in just the most populated areas.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move to Councillor Snell. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Thank you so much, to the entire emergency response team. I think this is significant given that we're just slightly over a year of implementation. To have worked out the kinks and to be seeing these types of results is substantial. To Councillor Smith's point in regards to the significant reduction, I know in Wasaga Beach through our fire chief, we're seeing an 18% reduction in calls. And when emergency response or our fire department is oftentimes at the top of our budget piece next to public works, that's huge for the taxpayers. And I think this is, again, just another great example of having upper tier governance so that we can all maximize efficiency, and especially in this very costly and vital service for our community. Separate from the reduction in cost, we don't see it and hear as many sirens in our community. And that speaks volumes and has great impact in just community well-being. And I've noticed that myself personally. To Chief Mills' point about education to the public, I think it's absolutely critical and key. And I would ask that our comms team within the county provide some collateral that can be shared down to the municipalities that we can push out through our social channels and our resources to be able to educate the public as much as possible so that they continue to use the system as most efficient as possible. Thank you.
Excellent comment, Councillor Snell. Thank you very much. I don't see any further hands. So I will get to the actual motion at hand, and I'll ask for the mover to be Councillor Sandhu and the seconder, Councillor Van Stavern, that the following consent items having been given due consideration be received. Nothing further? I'll call the motion then. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. And thank you to the command staff and Chief Mills for sitting in today. All right, committee, we're going to move on to item number 7. This is the Early Learning and Child Care System. I just want to bring your attention to General Manager Mina Fayez-Baguette is with us. He's online, joining us today online, so he will be available for questions on any of these items. We have the 2026 Early Learning and Child Care System Management funding allocations. And so I have the recommendation here in front of us. Perhaps I'll go directly to GM Fayez-Baguette. Is there anything you'd like to add to report 2026-030? Mina?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the annual allocation report that we do for our children's services and early learning system management funding. So just flagging that this is the 6th year of the CWELP program. It raises our funding now to $181 million. When CWELP started, our funding pocket was around 40 million. So it does show you kind of the growth over the last 6 years of this in a significant amount. This also includes late funding that we received in late November after our budgeted process. And this is the funding for 2 special programs, both focused on supporting employment growth in the sector and some special priority services. So with that funding, there was an allocation for staffing. And so the report does also request council approved staffing. Traditionally, with this ministry, our funding allocation comes usually in the late fall and sometimes right into the early winter. And over the last couple of years, it's actually been coming in quite late. So in preparation for the 2026 budget, we allocated an anticipated amount and then confirmed that amount through this report. So I think the report kind of walks everyone through that. I know that the schedule number 3 is hard to read, so we're going to be making available a larger font size for that schedule that gives you the breakdown. And I will be sending that probably through clerks to share back with council as well.
Thank you very much, Mina. I know you'll be available for any questions. There is a question being posed right now by Councillor McClellan. Please go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if there's any opportunity to advocate to the province for more funding. Specifically, I'm talking about the early on centers. So I know here in New Tecumseh, if they can't find free space, they can't operate. So what happens, it's another one of those pieces that is sort of downloaded to the lower tier municipality to make that happen. And I just didn't know if it was appropriate and we were in a position to advocate. Early on centers are such an important part of the program for kids, and it's such a good and necessary resource for young parents. We were in jeopardy of losing one of them that we have here in New Tech, but we did find a community group that actually donated to pay the rental space. So a great program if you can find free space to run it. So I didn't know if we had an opportunity to advocate for rental money as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mina.
For you, Chair Measures. Thanks for the question, Councilor McClellan. Yes, so we have been advocating consistently for the early on programs to be increased funding. We saw a one-time increase in 2025, and we utilized that and put it straight back into the centers, but it wasn't year over year like ongoing funding. We have been flagging that level of funding hasn't increased since prior to CWELC, and CWELC is a lump sum program on the child care subsidy side. So it does not include any additional funding for the early on centers. A few things we have been doing in those years is we have, every time we develop, a new community through our housing portfolio, we do add early on centers there. And we're trying, of course, to continue that strategy as in part of our 10-year affordable housing homelessness prevention strategy. But yeah, we've through AMO and through Roma and through our municipal Social Service Association, AMSA, have been constantly working with the ministry on trying to flag this as, a gap. And, as we try similarly through our partnership office is to try to align our funding pockets for those gaps. So you'll see that coming up in a few weeks when we present our SCIF grant and how we're trying to focus on some of those gaps as well through those grant programs.
Great, thank you. Looking for other questions. I see Councillor Leduc. Please go right ahead, and then Councillor Sandu.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the GM, Mina Fayez-Baguette. Mina, in the report, you got directed growth strategy infrastructures, and we had potentially 211 seats remaining that you're going to award in January. Is that the reallocation of seats that was given through the province, or are these the seats that were awarded in 25 that didn't make the construction deadlines? And I'm specifically referring to one in Bradford that was desperately trying to get to the finish line, getting the inspections done, and I'm not sure if they managed that. They were breaking every rule in the town when it came to bylaws. So just wondered if they met that deadline at the end of the year, or if that's one of the sites you're talking about potentially getting awarded in January.
Through you, Chair Measures, I'm going to ask Director Samantha Zurcher to maybe give some specifics on the growth strategy and the recalibration decision we're still awaiting from the ministry.
All right, welcome, Director.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, that's a great question. The program you are referring to did open on December 31st. It did get their license in time. So that one was complete, but there were 3 others that did not. So As we know with construction, there are a variety of things that can delay the progress. And so the challenge that we've had, that we've expressed to the Ministry of Education is they've tied a lot of the funding directly to the year, the calendar year. And if you're committed to opening spaces in that calendar year and you don't achieve that by December 31st, the expectation is that we are to recover those funds. It's a significant amount of funding when we're talking about capital builds for space. And so it's something that we've expressed to the ministry as a concern that we have so that we can address this moving forward. A similar challenge there's a little bit of flexibility, it seems, between 25 and 26. But when we come to the end of 26, there is no flexibility. If the programs aren't open, all funding will need to be recovered because of the contract between the province and the federal government. So that's something that we're going to be monitoring closely this year as well.
Just to follow up then, great to hear that. Thank you very much for that. And the next question is, if we have a daycare within the program already receiving funds through the CWILC, and they've been asked to potentially take on more, and there's a cost to it, do we have a program that helps fund some of those costs so that we can create those seats seamlessly, I guess? Is there a program out there for helping those operations that are already in operation? They're just allocating, they're getting more allocation through the CWILC funding at the end of the year. Is that something we have or not? GM Faiz Baguette.
Through you, Chair Measures, I'll ask Director Zurcher to also maybe address this question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair, again, this program is pretty tied, but it includes the funding to create those spaces. So if a program is looking to expand so that they have additional spaces and they've been approved for those spaces through us, they would be eligible for funding to support some of the startup costs related to that.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Sandhu is next. Are there other hands, questions? Councillor Sandhu, please go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good report. It seems like this, no matter how much we do, there's always more demand for allocations for childcare. One of my questions were already asked and answered. There's one question with the FTE position. What deliverables are assigned to this new ask in 2026, and what are the KPIs that's going to define success? That's one. And the second point I want to raise is it's a very, very, very minor point, but it is an error. In Schedule 1 and Schedule 3, the figures shown under innovation funds, they don't match. It is a very dollar value, very small. It doesn't mean much with the bigger things. But when we do these reports, everything should match, because if it's a small amount now, tomorrow it could be a bigger amount. Thank you.
Oh, GM Faiz Baguette, do you have a comment on that?
Thank you, through you, Chair Measures. So, Councillor Sandhu, I think for the first part of your question, when it comes to like the funding pocket, it is important to note that again, as the ministry dictates to us, we as a service manager have to like kind of implement those guidelines. Specifically to the schedules, like I imagine that what we have is a live tracking number from what is the rounded amount to the exact amount when the allocation occurs. So I imagine that's probably the difference, but we'll check and make sure, and maybe have like a footnote in the future explaining that slight difference. But I think that Schedule 1 versus Schedule 3, probably Schedule 3 gives the final breakdown, which probably happened at a different point in time than the original allocation set through the funding pocket. I think I'll ask maybe Director Zurcher to speak on the FTE position. It is a no tax levy impact for the funding pocket, but it's specific to the new increased programs we're being asked to carry out with the new funding pocket. But I'll ask Director Zurcher to give you some details on that. And how we usually measure KPIs and success is probably how the money and the growth of the program is administered and the timing of it. We're one of the few service managers right now being recognized through our data strategy. We actually created an internal data tool that allows us to predict when each funding pocket is going to be exhausted or increased, to allow us to set moratoriums of when we can issue funding for things like fee subsidies versus not. So I think our data-informed strategy has a considerable amount of measures and targets, but specific to this position and the role and the duties, I'll ask Director Zurcher to share a little bit more on.
All right, Director, regarding the full-time position.
Thank you very much through the chair. So one of the schedules is also our service system plan, which covers all of the KPIs that we work through and towards as a department. So there aren't specific KPIs that will be assigned to one individual. However, what I will say is that as the CWELC program has grown, and Mina identified, I think prior to 2020, that our budget was somewhere around 49 million. We're now at 181 million. We've had a pretty significant increase in the expectations that we're required to meet for the province. And we've had a relatively small increase in staffing to manage that. So our overall department is 30 people managing that size of a budget. So that's part of it, is to balance some of the workload for the staff that are existing, but also to meet the projects that have been identified this year. So the Innovation Fund projects that are there are 13 projects that we'll be working on, as well as our ECE Promotion Fund. So there will be a lot of project management expectations with respect to this position, so that they can navigate and sort of keep us on track as we're moving forward to meet those expectations. And perhaps I'll just come back to clarify, Mina was correct, but they're actually switched around. So for the Schedule 1 and Schedule 3, the difference between the amounts for the innovation funding is that Schedule 3 is what we applied for. That was the notional allocation that the province had originally given us. But when they came back and finalized our amount, which is what is in the allocations, that's the amount they gave us. So they didn't give us the exact dollar amount. As you said, they're very close. But that's the amount that they gave us, as opposed to what they had said originally was the notional amount prior to us applying for the funding.
All right, thank you very much. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, then I'm going to go to the motion. I'm going to ask alternate Councillor Moore if she'll be the mover, and I'd ask for the seconder to be Councillor Snell. That item number CCW 2026-030 dated January 27, 2026 regarding the 2026 Early Learning and Childcare System Management Funding allocations be received, and that program strategies, guidelines, and approaches in conjunction with the 2026 service provider proposed funding allocations as generally outlined in item CCW 2026-030 be approved, and that a net new full-time equivalent program supervisor position to coordinate and support the ongoing growth and transformation of the early years system be approved, and that staff maximize the 2026 provincial funding and redirect any year-end municipal savings to the Social Services Reserve to help offset future budget year pressures. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much, Council. We're going to move to item number 8, which is our community services, our human services, community support and well-being. We have report CCW 2026-013. The 2026-2027 homelessness and addiction recovery treatment Heart Hub funding allocation. You got to admit the Heart Hub has been working. It's a good program. Glad we did it. GM Faiz Baguette, would you like to speak to this a little bit, and then we'll go to questions.
Thank you, Chair Measures. So for this report, again, it is this year 2 funding allocation. So we are funding this in a 3-year pilot program. So this is the second year of the allocation, and it's really just walking transactionally through who are the recipients of the funding and how the breakdown of the budget is. This is a requirement that Council does approve it, and we take it back to the Ministry of Health as a part of our regular quarterly reporting. And I do have, if there are specific questions, I do have our team here with us to answer Council questions if required.
Excellent. Looking across the floor, are there any questions to this report regarding the Heart Hub? Not seeing any online, and not seeing any in the room. All right. Then I will look for a mover and seconder on the motion, perhaps Mr. Fryer, and seconded by Councillor McDonald. That item CCW 2026-013, dated January 27, 2026, regarding the 2026-2027 Homelessness and Addiction Recovery Treatment Hub funding allocation be received, and that the proposed allocation for 2026-2027 Homelessness and Addiction Recovery Treatment Hub funding be approved, and that the necessary bylaw be presented to authorize the General Manager, Social and Community Services, or a Director from Social and Community Services in his or her absence, and the County Clerk to enter into agreements with related community services. Any final questions or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Item CCW 2026-016, we have a brief presentation. The general manager is, of course, going to remain with us, but Amy Marshall, Marlana Vandelis, and Raylan Snedden are here, and they have a presentation regarding the insights into the Community Support and Wellbeing Departmental Updates, Insight, and Impact. So, GM Fayez Baguette, how about I kick it off to you and you can introduce what this is about.
Great, thank you, Chair Measures. So this is a presentation just walking council through one of our other major social service departments and teams. This is what used to be known as the Ontario Works team, and it's gone through a considerable modernization through legislative change. So we wanted council to reintroduce council to some of the work it does. Another similar to children's services, this is a large portfolio. We're anticipating over 8,000 caseload this year, which would be one of the larger caseloads we've seen in a very long time. So I have with me here Director Marshall and Manager Vandevis and Supervisor Snedden to do a little bit of a presentation, a short video presentation to walk you through some of the different work that we do.
Excellent. Welcome, Director.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the introduction. Warden, Chair Measures, County Council, community members and colleagues. We are super excited to be here today. We are thrilled to share updates, impacts, and insights as to the work that we're doing within our department. Now, we're not here for specific asks today. We're actually here to tell a story, the story of the dedication of the Community Support and Wellbeing Department and the work we're doing and how we're doing the work to create meaningful change for folks across the county. And that's what we're here for today. So many of you actually might remember us from our former name, which is the Ontario Works Department. So in 2025, we went through a review, a reflection, and some consultation to adjust that name. It's not just a name change. It really is our ability to highlight, identify, and align with the work that we're actually doing within the community. Now, that being said, yes, of course, we continue to deliver the Ontario Works program. However, I really want to highlight that remains a critical function of the work that we do. However, it's really one part of a broader system that's providing a responsive needs within our community. Now, when we take a look at our Community Support and Wellbeing Department, I like to share that it's really kind of 4 key areas of focus. So one is our Ontario Work, so that's social assistance and community support. We have our housing stability team. Third, we have our emergency social services, which is activated at times of urgent or crisis needs within our community. And our newest addition in 2025 was the Heart of Simcoe County within our our department, I should say. So today we're really going to focus on the top 2. So Ontario Works, that social assistance and community support, and our housing stability team. Together, they truly pull together. Well, I guess you could say, together they truly are highlighting and showcasing the depth, the flexibility, and the impact of the services delivered by our exceptional team. Now, our goal today is simple. It's truly to give you a clearer picture of the work that's happening on the ground, the people behind that work, and really the meaningful impacts across the county. So with that, it's my pleasure to invite Marlana Vandevis to share a fulsome overview of our service delivery.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Amy. So I'd like to walk you through a transition that we've been going through in the Ontario Works Department, now Community Support and Wellbeing, since 2024. Prior to 2024, you may remember Ontario Works as being a very employment-focused program where the expectation is that folks were coming to us for financial assistance. The expectation is that they were participating in job search activities, unless there was a reason that they couldn't. Perhaps they were looking after young children, perhaps there was a physical limitation. Well, we all know that folks coming to us for assistance may not ready to take the first step towards employment. People that are coming through our doors looking for support, yes, they need financial assistance, but they often need a whole lot more. That might be mental health support, that might be housing stability, food insecurity, and a physical limitation. If you don't have a primary care physician to be attached to, that's really, really difficult to get those supports. So through our switch to integrated employment services, anybody as of 2024 that is employment ready and needs job supports, they're referred to our Employment Ontario partners throughout the county. That leaves space for our caseworkers to do person-centric supports for the people that are vulnerable and experiencing multi-barriers. For some, this might mean steps towards independence, connecting with counseling supports to support greater mental health. That could be accessing long-term support such as our Ontario Disability Support Program. In this new model, caseworkers are able to access more financial resources to support individuals, and I always like to say peeling back those layers of the onion to see why people are coming to us in the first place and how we can best support. I'll give you an example of a single parent with children, probably not ready, children that aren't in school, maybe not ready for employment right now, but there's lots of things that our caseworkers can do to support these people. We can issue a bus pass, we can issue them a gym pass so they're exercising, they're connecting with folks in the community. Earlier there was mention of the early on centers. Those centers are so great. So there's a transportation barrier, take your bus pass, take your child, go on the bus and connect with other parents and engage in the community. That really helps to create stronger pathways to stability, health, and long-term well-being. Even if employment is not the immediate goal, that may be a goal that they're working towards in the future. Our caseworkers are really focused on individualized collaborative case management, working with folks with what they need and where they're at. I was speaking with a caseworker yesterday and she provided a story of somebody she's been working with extensively over the past couple of years. This individual was receiving assistance, working two part-time jobs, and it wasn't quite enough to get her off assistance. Unfortunately, this individual experienced some issues in the workplace which resulted in a termination and some legal issues. This woman had no support system. Her family is 4 or 5 hours away. She didn't know who to turn to kind of deal with court issues. She'd never had a criminal record before, so what does she do? Her caseworker took her under her wing, supported her, attended every single court appointment with her, got her involved with John Howard Society, was able to support her through some things. After some counseling and support, she was able to obtain a full-time job and be successful. In our old model, our caseworkers didn't have perhaps the time to do that because there was focus on employment. With that being moved away, they're able to look at these more intensive supports. Additionally, over the past couple of years, we've really been striving to connect more closely with our community partners, health teams, and other organizations. A big part of this work is us educating folks on what our new model does, how we can support people, and how we can work collaboratively together to support folks to move forward. Because of these relationships, it's always nice to have a phone a friend that somebody can reach out to us and vice versa when you're trying to troubleshoot perhaps a tricky situation. Because of these strong connections, community agencies are so willing to reach out to us. A big shift too is our presence within the community. You'll recall something called the pandemic, and it's hard to believe that that was 6 years ago. We were able to pivot a lot of our formerly in-person services to phone. Phone was great. In-person is always better, and we're really striving to make that a priority when we're providing support to residents. Thanks to the shift of wanting to meet people, I'm really, really pleased to say that our caseworkers are now in over 35 locations throughout the county, trying to meet people where they're at in locations where they're comfortable and truly really reducing some of those previously existing transportation barriers. I'm going to use the example of the town of Wasaga Beach. Our caseworkers are now in the really lovely, beautiful library recreation space. They're in the Employment Ontario office, as well as the food bank. Previously, individuals in Wasaga Beach had to take transportation to get to Collingwood, so huge impact to meet people where they're at. I'll also quickly highlight the town of Innisfil, where we have caseworkers in, again, the beautiful library there, the library in Stroud, our Employment Ontario office, so much so that we now have people on site in that community 5 days a week. We are always looking for more. We are currently in our shelter systems, gender-based violence organizations, food banks, et cetera, and we are always looking to expand more so we connect with folks where they're at. I'm going to now show a video that highlights the impact from the perspective of one of our caseworkers, as well as connections with the Sharing Place in Orillia Food Bank, as well as Agilic, our employment provider in the Orillia area.
In 2024, the Community Support and Wellbeing team embraced a transformative shift in how we support and engage with individuals in our community. Through the transition to integrated employment services, we embraced a model that places the person, their goals, needs, and unique circumstances at the center of service delivery.
Instead of coming to them with like, these are the things that you need to accomplish, this is what we need from you, kind of flipping the conversation of like, how can I support you? What can I do for you to help you move forward? I think of it kind of like, instead of, pushing or pulling someone, you're walking with them, but also letting them kind of take the lead. It's kind of taking that step back and asking them, like, what do you actually need? What can I actually help you with? What would actually be meaningful for you? And not just, again, telling them this is what you should be doing or this is what I need from you. I'm not just telling them what to do and ignoring all of the barriers that might be there for them and exist for them.
This evolution has allowed us to focus on the whole person, whether they are working toward exiting Ontario Works or finding pathways to services that reflect and support their unique needs.
Agilic wanted to jump on the opportunity because we know that when we have like a one-stop place for people to come and to seek supports, it allows for them to be able to get connected more quickly. There's a lot of people that are unhoused. There's a lot of people that are struggling. I think what excites me the most is that we are here to help create the change. We are here to ensure and that people are able to get to the other side of that, right? That's not the end of their story. That their story actually, this might just be the beginning of their story.
The IES model has opened the door to new opportunities, strengthened partnerships, and fostered meaningful collaboration across sectors. Most importantly, it has enabled us to deliver more responsive, flexible, and person-centered supports out in our communities.
So we are a community food center. We have 4 programs that offer nutritious access to food. We provide system navigation and referrals to individuals and families in need as well. So it starts with food, but we try and go a little bit beyond that and meet people where they are. The Sharing Place is always looking for community partners to come in, set up in our lobby, and provide direct support to our members. And so when this shift happened, we were super happy to be able to have an outreach worker in the lobby. So Lynn comes every Wednesday, and it's been wonderful. It's definitely had an impact on our members and helped them have an easier access to the program, and made it a little bit easier for them to navigate, especially if they have no fixed address or maybe they don't have a phone, so they can't receive callbacks. So this is one-on-one support, very important.
We're all in this to be helpers. We're all in here to help people, and so that collaboration is so integral to helping those individuals get to that next step.
It's easy to become siloed in the social service world, and we are always actively trying to move away from that, and so this has been wonderful. We're working together, we're working more collaboratively. Our goal is the same. We're trying to help people, meet them where they're at, give them the support they need.
I'm going to call Raylyn up. She's going to walk through some of our health sector partnerships.
Thank you, Marlena. As Marlena shared, my name is Raylyn Sneddon. I'm a supervisor in community support and wellbeing, and under my portfolio is our Bradford office, as well as the team that works out of Innisfil. So next, we want to just highlight and showcase some of these principles of integration, accessibility, and partnerships, and how that supported folks in all of our communities through some health-based services. So our health sector partnerships continues to be a really strong pillar in our integrated service delivery, bringing healthcare directly into all of our communities, as well as our social and community services offices. So the first one is Compassionate Care Without Barriers, or CCWB. This is based out of Barrie and ran through the year of 2025. You can see the stats on the screen there of how many folks they served. And it's a clinic that provides that free, dignified healthcare to marginalized folks in the Barrie area. The location is very much so within walking distance of our social and community services office. So it just provides that accessibility to collaboration between social assistance and primary care. They experienced significant expansion throughout 2025, seeing increased days as well as some counseling to support some of those mental health needs. The next one is the Community Paramedicine Wellness Clinic. So this is within our Midland Social and Community Services office, and it's with partnership with the County of Simcoe's Community Paramedicine team. So this started in 2025, and since then has seen over 20 unique individuals to provide some of those health and wellness needs directly within our office space. So it allows for clients of social assistance that easier access that we haven't been able to experience before. It gives them that open door that maybe they've already been to our office. So it's that warm transfer over to the community paramedicine team for those health needs. And then the final one is the healthcare clinic within Aurelia. So this is embedded in our Aurelia Social and Community Services office at the Aurelia campus, and it's with partnership with the Huronia Nurse Practitioner-led clinic. So they have been able to support through a nurse practitioner, as well as having a registered nurse and now a part-time social worker to support some of those additional mental health and system navigation needs. Across all three locations, the demand has been quite evident to us. I can speak to one example in Aurelia where a caseworker had a client on their caseload for a number of years with significant barriers in both mental and physical health for most of their adult life. Caseworker was able to meet with the client within our office space in Aurelia and actually physically walk them over to the clinic at the campus, introduce them to the nurse practitioner, and provide that warm transfer. As a result, the client now is getting support from the Ontario Disability Support Program and actually off of Ontario Works Assistance. So it just goes to show that outcomes such as this one's and all of these partnerships that we have really reinforces that embedding healthcare along our social services is creating more accessible and coordinated pathways for folks in our communities. So the next area that we wanted to highlight is our housing stability team. This is comprised of housing retention, and through that, they offer the temporary family shelter program. This is where the connection between health, housing, well-being, and overall financial stability really becomes vital. So housing retention provides financial support for items such as rental arrears, mortgage arrears, utilities, moving or storage costs, as well as last or first month's rent. In 2024, you can see the stats posted above, and 2025 numbers are very similar with 1.7 million supported and around 1,500 households. So it just goes to show those housing needs there throughout our community. And the housing retention team also provides the temporary family shelter program. This used to be called the motel voucher program, so it's now for families that are needing that immediate housing need and are currently experiencing homelessness. So folks will call into our housing retention line, and our staff will screen and intake the individual for eligibility. So you can see again on the screen, we have 150 applications that we've been able to support since the rebrand in October 2025. And of that 150, we've actually successfully been able to divert 101 folks, just meaning that they've had additional housing opportunities and they haven't had to use our programming. So looking ahead in community support and well-being, our focus is building on what's already working and preparing for continued growth and for what's to come. We truly remain committed to delivering our impactful services. We want those to be person-centered and constantly evolving based on the needs. So the first way we want to ensure that we're doing that is strengthening service delivery models. We want to continue doing what's already working. Building off of that, but remaining flexible and responsive to the needs within our communities. We want to continue to work with our partnerships within the ministry and our Employment Ontario partners, as shared earlier, in order to build on our already existing and established integration of social assistance modernization. We have an ever-growing caseload as well with so many folks with multi-barriers, and we're seeing a lot more higher needs. So just trying to get creative in how we're providing services is a key component with our service provider. And then the next part we want to do is by expanding our community presence. So Marlena spoke to this a little bit. We're already in over 35 locations outside of our social and community services office spaces, and we want to continue to see that grow. It not only provides that accessible service for those vulnerable folks in our communities, but it also builds on partnerships with those community organizations, which ties nicely with our next one, which is building strong partnerships. We recognize that collaboration drives better outcomes, and continuing to focus on those partnerships really will only align us further with serving our community's most vulnerable populations. And lastly, expanding our health sector partnerships. It's been truly incredible to see the impact and the growth through Orillia, Midland, and Barrie, like mentioned on the previous slide, but we want to see that grow countywide so that more people have access to that preventative and integrated care. So on this slide, you'll see all of our names posted. If anybody is interested in connecting with us, we would just encourage you to reach out to General Manager Mina, and he can connect you with us. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'd just like to state that Ms. Marshall, your team are doing a terrific job. You can tell in the video, you could see very clearly there was a lot of dedication to the role as well as compassion for the work that they do. So thank you very much for the work that you and your team are doing. At this time, we'll look to the floor. Are there any questions from the floor? I can see Councillor McDonald and Councillor Snell. How about McDonald first and then Snell, please?
Thank you, Chair Measures. I know that we all know that we have these organizations in place, but until just recently, I got to see it at in full work, and I have to say that it is amazing how the work is done and how the clients are treated. And I just wanted to say a special thank you to General Manager Mina Fayez-Baguette and his whole team, because I was part of trying to match their clients up with them. And one of the feedbacks that I received from those clients was I was listened to and I felt like I was human again. So I just want to say thank you very much. There are only a few of them, but I think we'll see more and more that have to reach out and use these services. And I know that we are that they're going to be in the best hands possible. So again, thank you to each one, and thank you very much, Ms. Marshall, for your presentation, and to your whole team.
Well said, Councillor. Thank you. Councillor Snell is next. Looking for others. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I think, thank you, ladies and GM Fayez-Baguette for this great presentation. Again, I think this is a perfect example of the benefit of an upper tier level of governance to support our municipalities, because individually we would not have the capacity or the skill set to be able to manage this very complex portfolio. And when we look at the process of moving through our personal advocacy through any sort of system, especially one that's this complex and large, it's difficult for individuals, and they often get lost and they fall through cracks, or they just give up because it's just too complicated. So doing this massive shift in your approach for services is so greatly appreciated for our most vulnerable residents. And, you know, much like our paramedics, you're absolutely essential for the health and well-being of our communities. So thank you for the very difficult work that you do with the individuals that you support. Looking at your report, what really popped for me is the numbers. You know, the fact that just looking at my notes here, so in 2022, it was 4,555 households. And then in 2024, it jumped 41.6% to serve 6,450. And then looking to grow that much in 2026. My first question is, what do you attribute that to? Outside of, you know, obviously the socioeconomic pressures in the world today, but is there anything specific that you can kind of see where that number is coming from? Is my first question, and then I have others, if you don't mind, please.
Take that directly. Yes, go ahead, Mina. I'll take it right to you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Measures. So generally speaking, those number increases are probably, there's a couple of factors. The tail end of 22, we were coming off the last bit of funding that was coming federally directly to individuals coming out of the pandemic, and that's probably why you've seen a number go from jump that much. As that funding got pulled, most of those clients went back onto the Ontario Works program. Thereafter, though, I would say that number was probably more realistic to probably the historic averages, and Director Marshall could probably share a little bit on that. The jump between then and now is definitely related to what we're seeing coming out of that second wave of the economic impact of a pandemic. So the first wave was those that were on subsidy already. The second wave are those that were not on subsidy and probably hanging on with multiple jobs or just trying to get by, and you're finding them now falling into a need for social service support. I think the other portion of that growth is connectivity. Becoming, as you saw in the video and in the presentation, and as Raylyn had shared, going to the places where people are at and reducing the barriers to access is getting more people connected to services. And I think that's why you're seeing that number go up. There has been a significant focus on well-being and connecting people holistically to all the services, not just the income support. And I think you're kind of seeing the true nature of that work in the numbers. But Director Marshall, maybe if there's more to add on the data pre and post pandemic, but I think historically we haven't seen this type of number.
Excellent. Thank you, Mina. Through you, Mr. Chair. What I'd like to share is we actually had this opportunity earlier this year to do a wee bit of a caseload analysis. So we're looking at folks who have accessed services for 5 years consecutively or longer. And what's the barrier? What's getting in the way for folks? So working with our divisional partners within our CPPBI department, we were able to pull that data and really explore that. So there's top 5 reasons, which I'm sure you can guess that potentially mental health and physical health are the key barriers for folks in exiting social assistance. So aside from that, there's also concerns around caregiving roles, whether that's for children, but also for aging parents, for partners, those sorts of ideas. So what we are doing as a team is that we're taking that data and we're exploring if these are the barriers, how can we impact those? So through our service plan and through our goals and our visioning for 2027, we are including that data in order to make some plans to be in the community more in rural settings as well. What does that look like? Transportation is a significant piece for folks as well. So how do we, adjust the way we work to be able to best support? So those are some of the pieces that really are also contributing to folks accessing social assistance. Another key piece that we're really, diving into again, and you've seen through the presentation today, is that connection with health services. For folks, if you don't have access to healthcare, you are so limited in to be able to get the supports and services that you need. So having these partnerships has been such a significant impact for us as a team, the learning, the knowledge transfer, and the connection, but also what that means for folks accessing services. So there's just a little bit more information for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Snell, are you complete there, or another question?
Another, if I could,
Sure.
Chair, thank you. Because those numbers obviously are staggering, and whether or not that level of growth rate is sustainable for the county, for the province, for the country, right? And we're not the only the county, obviously, that's experiencing these types of numbers. And so one of my questions is, I would love to see going forward in reports to see how many did we move through the system and get out of the system. So what are we doing proactively to lessen that curve, for one? And for two, what are we doing to, intentionally try to manage generational poverty? Right? It's a difficult subject, but sometimes, this becomes a cyclical system where it becomes a family and a generational problem. So what are we doing for the young people that are in these environments to move them into a more individually sustainable environment? If I could ask that, please.
Through you, Chair Measures, So, Councillor Snell, I think for the first part of your question, in terms of analysis, like we are actually working and we'll be launching a dashboard this year to show kind of the impact of the work and the net new client versus like Director Marshall shared, like the 5-year and plus client versus the situational client, and then just that transition on the caseload and a demographic or portfolio on the caseload to tell you the story of who is our client, who are they, and what are their top 5 or 6 challenges. In terms of and we've been focused on this data analysis on how can we target certain subpopulations within the client base to see the successes, including the generational clients and the younger clients that have probably more opportunity to get to a path to employability. The one other thing as a system service manager that we're doing that's unique here compared to other managers across the province is our integration is not just a partnership development strategy, but it's also a space strategy. And what we're seeing in Aurelia and places where we're co-locating and sharing space, the handoffs are much more successful, and the back and forth between someone who's employment ready and handing them off to an Employment Ontario agency or funded agency with a new service manager is something that the province is actually looking at our practice as a best model. So I think in terms of the work and how it's structured and the data behind it, we've positioned ourselves well to better understand how to keep adapting the service. And then again, trying to address those underlying impacts that are causing the cases to either stay stagnant or need people to enter the system. So I think this year you'll see a lot of that publicly, like presented on a dashboard similar to our homelessness and our housing and other dashboards we put out there at Children's Services. And then again, more quarterly reporting coming to council on our progress as well.
Thank you very much, General Manager. Thank you, Councillor Snell. We're going to go to Councillor Hamlin next, and then Councillor Dornford. Go ahead, Councillor Hamlin. Councillor Hamlin.
Okay, sorry, my mute button moved. All right, I've got it. I had a really straightforward question. That is, well, let me just first say I'm so happy to hear this presentation today. And it is amazingly great to hear that the whole person approach is being taken, and there's so much collaboration between all of the organizations that are offering assistance independently. But my question was, I was looking for a list of where these services are, and even if it's just an advisor, sometimes I heard in the presentation might be somewhere 1 day a week or 4 days a week. I took a quick look on the website and I couldn't find it. And I'm just wondering, is there any place where all these things are listed, or could it be sent to the county councillors? Thank you.
Mina, would you like to take that, or over to Amy? What do you think?
Maybe Director Marshall can kind of...
Director Marshall, please go right ahead.
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for the question. And yes, we do have our list of about over 35 locations right now. We don't have that posted because that can change because we are pivoting depending on the need of where that is in the community, and it's ever growing. However, we'd be more than happy to pull that information together so you can see that information. It would be time sensitive, so it can change again, as I said, at any given time, but we can give you a status update right now and continue to update. What we're doing is working with our community partners, which is one of the greatest things of the work that we do, because with our community partners, we can identify where do we need to be, what does this look like, when, how, etc. So we can definitely pull that information together and continue to update you in formal reports moving forward, as well as see how we can potentially adjust that to ensure more community awareness of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hamlin?
Yeah, thank you for that, because I do know sometimes our staff at our municipality are approached with these kind of needs. And if we had somewhere to refer people to, even if we know it's an ongoing, changing thing, I think it'd be really helpful. So thank you.
Well done. I'll just add, if I may, Ms. Marshall, do we participate with 211 and give them all the information that they need through the 211 service?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do coordinate quite closely with 211 and work closely also with our partners at United Way, who are very connected within our community as well. So we're ensuring that they're aware of what that looks like and how to access services. The best piece that we can share with the community is to either come into one of our offices or call our office. If we're not somewhere local to you, we actually are also meeting people out in the community where they need to. Is that Tim Hortons? Is that the library, as we said, or somewhere new? And we're always 100% willing to continue to find a new location to best support folks.
Excellent. I expect we're probably carving out some space for you at our Rose Street build too. Let's go to Councillor Dornford. Go ahead.
Good morning. Yes, thank you for the presentation. And it's really great to have this information because, as Councillor Hamlin said, these are issues that municipal staff and municipal councillors are encountering all the time. So it would be really helpful to have kind of some clear communication about how to access. I sat in on a Couchiching Ontario Health Team collaboration table meeting last week, and they announced a new coordinated care access system for mental health and addictions that the province is building. So they have apparently built the back end and are just reaching out to service providers to get everything integrated. And the idea is that no door will be the wrong door. The province is going to coordinate all of the services to ensure that there's less duplication and that the path is clear for physicians, for community service agencies. I just wondered if or how the county foresees this impacting the community support and well-being program. It sounds to me like it will make it even more integrated, but I just wondered what the opportunities are there.
General Manager Fayez-Baguette.
Through you, Chair Measures. So we've been closely working with the Couchiching Health Team for a few years now, and the clinic that was mentioned in the presentation is kind of the fruits of that effort. And I know that we, Director Marshall and her team, do sit on regular meetings with the team, so I suspect that we've had our fingerprints on some of this work. But I'll let Director Marshall kind of share a little bit of that journey and how we got to where we are.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Essentially with what I envision and what I see when we're hearing of these new programs and services, it's going to be more integration and more access for folks. So the more services and the partnerships and the collaboration, the better for our community. We work very closely with the Couchiching Ontario Health Team, as General Manager Mina Fayez-Baguette has shared. We have had conversations around how we can work together. What does that collaboration look like? Some of our folks work alongside their current services. We have those connections, so that way if someone is in, working and accessing services through the Couchiching Ontario Health Team, they can connect directly with our supervisors who are based out of our Orillia office. So they have those connections and we have those partnerships. So what I see with this is in envisioning continued collaboration, continued growth with services, and we're wanting to be a part of absolutely everything that we possibly can in order to be able to support our residents in the community.
Thank you very much. Councillor Durnford, you're complete. That's good. Thank you. And we're going to move over to Councillor Leduc, please. James.
Thank you, Chair. Lovely presentation. Love it. I actually love the new name, Community Support and Wellness, Wellbeing. That's what it's all about. You're providing excellent services. I just was wondering, we just was recently presented with a community action poverty plan. I know they're going through the county with these plans. How is the county integrated into that plan? There was 9 recommendations came out of that plan, and the majority of them were looking at Bradford, Columbia, actually making them action items for Bradford. And I tried to express to the group that this is an upper level government. We want to be a participant in it. It's absolutely our communities, but we want to make sure the plan is working hand in hand with the county's efforts. My whole vision when we set up our 177 Church Street hub, it's called the Community Hub in Bradford, was to bring this type of system where we actually, you came in the front door and you got all the services provided to you. You were taken care of right through every need that you needed, so that there was no confusion. Because the worst thing, the hardest thing about being in these situations is finding those services. And it's difficult for people that are, right on the edge to go out and access them. So I'm just wondering, my question would be, are we working closely hand in hand with these anti-poverty action plans? And can you maybe express a little bit more on how that's working? Thanks.
Through you, Chair Measures, maybe I can share generally here. So yes, the answer is yes. We have been working closely with staff and the leadership on the specific anti-poverty action plan for Bradford West Gwillimbury. Also discussing space, the space that you referred to, Councillor Leduc, we're actually been asked to contribute some staffing resource to actually manage the space and make sure. I think it's about 10 hours a week that's been discussed. Those discussions continue. I believe there's an upcoming meeting in the next week or so, picking up where we left off before the holidays. So we should have a formal kind of response strategy that aligns with our work. We did something similar with the city of Aurelia in the fall of last year after their declaration on food insecurity. We actually came and presented to council a strategy of how we can connect that declaration and that work to some of the work that the county is responsible for. And similarly, we'll do the same thing with the town once we pull together the plan and show and demonstrate the resources. Those resources could include, and most likely will include, our community support and well-being teams, like presence at site locations and partnerships with the agencies operating the space. But it'll also have our partnership office, which is kind of more the regional office that does the partnership collaboration and the safety and well-being plans. That team will be the one leading those presentations at council. So you'll see from the county.
All right, thank you very much. I don't see any further questions. So again, I want to thank the director and her staff for her presentation today, and thank the General Manager, as always, for insightful information on this great project. At this time, I'd like to bring the resolution forward, be moved by Councillor Durnford, seconded by Councillor Hamlin, that CCW 2026-016, dated January 27, 2026, regarding the community support and well-being departmental updates, insights, and impact be received. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? Thank you. That carries. And Your Worship, if I may, I'd like to call for a bio break, and I'll return the House in at 11 o'clock. Does that sound good? Thank you.
Folks, we're going to go live. We are live, Mr. Chair, so carry on.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Welcome back, everyone, to our Committee of the Whole order. Thank you. And we are going to move on. Just for reference, we are on item number 9 now on our agenda for Committee of the Whole. This is Human Services Long-Term Care Committee of Management. And the first item is CCW 2026-012, the Community Partnerships for Nutritional Meal Support. It's a report from GM Sinclair, and she is available to take any questions if there are any questions on the motion in front of us. So as the floor settles down and everyone's online, are there any questions in regards to this report number 012? All right. Yes, Councillor Cox, please go right ahead.
Yes, through the chair. This whole initiative, the nutritional meal support, community partnerships, is that something that any community partnershipers doing community meals can work with you on, or is this, because the Lions Club and Coldwater have started to do seniors and meals every Friday for seniors and people just to come, and a lot of it is social, and you can make a donation if you want, but we've done that because we know that there's a lot of people, it just gives them a good meal and a good social experience for one day.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think our long-term care homes are in a unique position in that they have a number of supports, and they're providing meal services on such a large scope and scale. And so they're able to produce these meals efficiently, knowing that they're very high quality, meet the standards of our long-term care. We have established a number, as you can see, of growing partnerships, some really amazing programs, quite honestly. We have our team here from a couple of our long-term care homes this morning. So as we continue with this meal service program, we are looking at expanding in some areas now. General Manager Mina Fayez-Baguette, for example, we're looking at expanding in our shelters. So if there was a particular situation where there was a vulnerable sector or a population in need of support, we would consider it. This is not our primary, service. However, we've had a unique opportunity in a number of areas to work with partners. So we're not taking on large new partnerships, but we certainly look to how we can support those in need in our various communities.
I guess maybe what I was more looking for is that if you had clients or people in that area who may benefit from this type of lunch, we would welcome them. That's sort of where I'm trying to go with, to let people know it was there. And that's why I wasn't sure between you and Mina that something like that, at least it's happening. And thus if there is, like we've had a couple of people even come from Aurelia. So, I mean, that's fine with us. But we just like people to know that it's there and available, and we know it's a good thing.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think if there was additional need, we certainly could take that offline and have discussions to see if there was others that we could support.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Are there other questions to this report? Yes, Councillor Dolan.
Just a comment. This is such a win-win. I think it's really innovative, and kudos to staff for doing this. And not only is it supporting, perhaps people in shelters and such, but the long-term care homes have been long known not only for making nutritional meals, but for doing it on an extreme budget. And I know my former deputy mayor used to always complain about the amount of money that each resident got a day for meals. But to be able to do it so efficiently as well, cost efficiently, I think this is just a win for everyone.
Good comment. Particularly like the soup for seniors. Good idea. Are there any other questions? Nothing? No further questions? All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to put Councillor Cox will be the mover, and perhaps Councillor Prost will be the seconder. And the item is Item CCW 2026-012, dated January 27, 2026, regarding the community partnerships for nutritional meal support be received. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. And thank you to the long-term care staff who are here. All right, moving on to item number 10, our Human Services Other Matters for Consideration. We do have an item on our agenda. It's kind of a good news thing in regards to the 2025 Government of Ontario Advocacy Days update. GM Sinclair is available to answer any questions, but if you consider this committee, there's been some significant communication with the province on behalf of the County of Simcoe, and our staff have represented as well, making that connection from staff to staff at Queen's Park. So are there any questions for this report? Online, nothing? Okay, seeing none, perhaps I'll call upon Councillor Fallis. Can you be the mover? Thank you. And perhaps Councillor Fowler could be the seconder. And that item CCW 2025-034, dated January 27, 2026, regarding the 2025 Government of Ontario Advocacy Days update be received. Nothing further? I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Under other matters of consideration, I'll pass the chair back to His Worship regarding the next item.
Thank you, Chair Measures. There is an in-camera item, so I will go in camera at this time. I'll ask the city reps, thank you for coming, but some of you are invited to this in-camera session if you're on the long-term care. So it's Mayor Barry Mayor Nuttall, Aurelia Mayor McIsaac, Aurelia Councillor Fallis, and Aurelia Councillor Durnford. So if you can please stick around, I'll thank the rest of the city reps for attending today, and then we will look for the motion to go in the camera. That Committee of the Whole resolve into closed session at 11:10 under the authority of the Municipal Act, Section 239(2)B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and Section 239(2)E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting a municipality or local board. Could I have that moved by Councillor Fryer, second by Councillor Van Stavern? All in favor? That is carried, so I'll just wait till we're ready. If you're online, join us. Please make sure you have to leave your camera on and make sure you're alone. Thank you. Okay, we are live again, folks. So with that, I will read the public motion, a direction in camera. And it was moved by Councillor Measures, second by Councillor Locke. So the direction in camera and recommendations contained within confidential item CCW 2026-044 dated January 27th, 2026 regarding personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, be approved and voted upon in accordance with section 239 6B of the Municipal Act. And that was voted on and carried. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to the Corporate Services Chair, Chair Dolan.
Thank you so much. So we're on item 11 in your agenda, and that's the consent agenda. There's one item on the consent agenda. That's the West Gwillimbury Transfer Station redevelopment adjustments and cost optimization. Did anyone wish to pull or speak to that item? I'm not seeing anyone, so could I please ask for a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Michael Smith, seconded by Councillor Leduc, that the following consent item having been given due consideration be received. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, we have the item 12, that's planning, and the first item is 12.1. That's an application for amendment to the Simcoe County Official Plan, expansion to the settlement area of Bradford, 23 Brownlee Drive, in the town of Bradford. Is there any comments or questions on that item? I'm not seeing anyone. Could I please ask for a mover and a seconder? Councillor Fryer and Councillor Cox. That item CCW 2026-2027 dated January 27, 2026 regarding an application by IGC Golf Incorporated, Bayview, Wellington, Highlands Incorporated, and 2523951 Ontario Incorporated to amend the Simcoe County of Simcoe Official Plan be received, and that the necessary bylaw be presented to adopt the proposed County of Simcoe Official Plan Amendment Number 10, expansion to the settlement of Bradford, attached in draft as Schedule 4 to item CCW 2026-027, and that a notice of adoption of Official Plan Amendment Number 10 to the County of Simcoe Official Plan be provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and that the record of adoption be forwarded to the province for consideration of approval in accordance with the Planning Act. All those in favor? That is carried. Next is item 13, corporate services, other matters for consideration, and it is the Economic Development Subcommittee report of January 13th. Is there any comments or questions on the ECDEV report? I'm not seeing any, so could I please ask for a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Miskiming, seconded by Councillor Bell, that the recommendations contained within Economic Development Subcommittee report dated January 13th, 2026 be approved. All those in favor? That is carried, and that is it for me.
Thank you. Chair Evans, if you can do performance management, please.
Thank you, Warden. I'd be happy to. So we move on to consent item number 14, which is an item with regards to CCW 2026-049, which is the 2026 development charge rates. Are there any comments, discussions on this item? Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rawson, thank you, and Councillor LaRose seconding, and the motion is that the following consent item having been given due consideration be received. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried. Moving on to item 15.1, CCW 2026-008, request for deferral of development charges for 7098 Rama Road, Ramera Township. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, can I move mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Bell and Councillor Greenlaw, thank you. Seconding. Motion is that item CCW 2026-008 dated January 27th, 2026 regarding request for deferral of development charges for 7098 Rama Road, Ramera Township be received, and that staff prepare and execute a development charge deferral agreement with the owner of 7098 Rama Road, which shall include the county's standard terms and provide for the date of DC calculation for the county development charges to be deferred for up to 7 years, after which the county DCs will be exempt in accordance with the county's development charges bylaw, and that the warden and clerk be authorized to execute a development charge deferral agreement for 7098 Rama Road, Ramara Township. Further comments? Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion is carried. Moving on to 15.2, CCW 2026-050, amendment to extend expiration of county development charges bylaw 6930. Any comments or discussion on this one? Mover, seconder? Councillor Norris and seconded by Councillor Smith. The motion is that item CCW 2026-050 dated January 27th, 2026, regarding the amendment of the county's development charges bylaw number 6930 to extend the life of the bylaw be received and the necessary bylaw be presented to County Council attached in draft as Schedule 1 to item CCW 2026-050 to amend bylaw number 6930, establishing development charges for the corporation of the County of Simcoe. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Any other items for consideration for performance management? Seeing none, I'll pass it back to you, Warden. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Evans, and I'll look for a motion at the January 27th, 2026 Committee of the Whole be adjourned at 12:13. Moved by Councillor Sandu and second by Councillor McDonald online. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Safe drive home, everyone.